Hi there, welcome to Mama Magic. I'm Fiona and I'm here to talk to you today about breastfeeding. It's something that I'm really passionate about, being a mother of three and having breastfed all three and still breastfeeding my third child now. And also as a supporter of breastfeeding mothers, because I volunteer my time to support with a local group and it's really fulfilling to do so. August is Breastfeeding Awareness Month. It's World Breastfeeding Month. So I just thought it'd be fitting to post this just at the end of August for you. This is for you if you are currently pregnant and planning on breastfeeding, if you are a new mother and you are just embarking on your breastfeeding journey, or if you're indeed a supporter of somebody else who's breastfeeding, because breastfeeding isn't something that is really done on your own. It really needs one major thing, and that is support. Before I launch into the reasons and the ways that you can support or you can be supported in your breastfeeding journey, I would really like if you would subscribe to my channel. I always post up stuff to do with pregnancy and birth and breastfeeding and mothering. And even though I don't post too often, I really feel that a lot of the resources I have are useful for people. And so you never miss out on a video. That's a good reason to subscribe, and to also like this video if you enjoy it, and share as well with others that you think might benefit from it. One thing that I feel is really key for successful breastfeeding is support. So that can be support on many different levels. Firstly, physical support. So you may need the support of somebody who can help you with things like latch, or understanding, if your baby's getting enough milk, and usually they are, and the way to make sure that they are is to keep your baby on the breast. Feed as frequently as possible. Babies' tummies are tiny and they need to feed little and often, or sometimes a lot and often, and that is perfectly fine. You cannot measure exactly how much milk your breast is making, but you can measure how much your baby is getting by knowing and counting and checking out their poo. You will become a poo expert, when you have a baby, because that is how you can tell exactly how much your baby is getting. And depending on the color and the consistency and the frequency of those poos, you can know if your baby is getting enough milk and if there are issues. That's a really, really good way of monitoring your baby's milk intake. So that is something that you would talk to your voluntary supporter about, or your lactation consultant. It might be one of the first things they ask: how are the nappies? And that's really good to know, and it's a way of understanding if your baby's intake is normal or not. The main thing to do is to find a breastfeeding supporter for you. Now that may be somebody in your family who has breastfed themselves, or it might be somebody that you meet through the maternity services or a voluntary group who's like local to you and who is more than willing to offer support. And that's what their aim is. They're always mothers who have gone through it themselves and understand that the difficulties that can arise and want to help. And I think it's really, really important to get in touch with your local voluntary group while you are still pregnant, and to go to meetings. At the moment they're all online, but hopefully we'll be going back in person in the future. I just can't emphasize enough the importance of getting in touch with your local voluntary group and attending those meetings, getting the names and the numbers or even emails, of the people who are the trained and accredited voluntary breastfeeding supporters, and ring them, text them, WhatsApp them, and let them know how you're doing, and if you need any help, and if you have any questions. Is this normal? It's a really, really valid question to ask, and they will be able to give you information and reassure you, and if they can't give the information you need, to refer you on to somebody who can. The other person that you could be in touch with would be a lactation consultant. They're trained specifically in breastfeeding, and they're medically trained in it, so they can look for things like tongue tie. The lactation consultant is the expert in breastfeeding, and you would have to pay for a lactation consultant, or if there is a lactation consultant in the maternity hospital that you are connected with for your birth, then you would be eligible to see them for free up till your baby is 6 weeks old. It's really important to know that, and it's not something that the hospital might tell you. So just remember, you can do that. You can ring the hospital and ask to see their lactation consultant. And it's really, really useful to do that if you have any concerns or difficulties that you want to address. I think there's a really real need for support on a kind of a social level when you're breastfeeding, because especially in Ireland, where it is not the main way that we feed our babies, most babies in Ireland are fed formula, and because of that there is a culture of formula feeding. Ireland is not a breastfeeding culture in general, it isn't, and I suppose because of that we might question things. It's really, really important to speak to others and to chat to other mothers who are in a similar stage to you, or maybe a little bit ahead of you, and to get just the general chit chat. You really need that camaraderie and that support when you have a baby, when you're in the stage of new motherhood, and it's so important to get that support, and that's where the voluntary groups can really, really, really come in so handy. Personally, I made so many friends in those breastfeeding groups when my first baby was small, because I just wanted to hang out with people who were going through the same thing. And I think that's the kind of person I am. And even if it's not the way you would normally be, is even if you're not really outgoing and a people person and want to chat all the time like I probably would be, I still think it's really useful to be able to listen to other people's stories. And you could go to a group and not really say very much but still get a lot out of it. So I think it's really good to give it a chance. And sometimes, even if you could just meet one person then through that, and then meet up with them for coffee as well, and a walk or something, that's really, really, really good, I think, for your mental health as a new mother. And I know it's harder now with coronavirus and not seeing as many people, but if you can meet people that are local to you, there are ways and means of getting around that, and going outside and having chat or different things like that. The emotional support of having others and understanding that there are others in similar situations to you, and you might think, oh my god, this person went through the exact same thing as me, and this is how they're and this is their situation, and it's really can be really reassuring to understand that, and to maybe just share your situation as well if you want to. And so I just say, please, 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 if you are currently pregnant and want to breastfeed, connect with your local voluntary support group. There are several in Ireland. There is Lactation, who I volunteer with. There is Cuidiú. There is Friends of Breastfeeding, and there are even the local public health nurses. Some of them have groups that that would meet in the health clinics locally, and even some of the maternity hospitals have groups as well. And you are more than welcome. It's a free service. Sometimes you're asked for a donation to pay for rent or different things like that, but in general it's free, and the people are more than willing to help. And it's a lovely way to meet other mothers. It's just so important, in my opinion. That's all I have to say. I hope some of what I have said is useful. If you have any questions at all, put them down in the comments. DM me. I don't mind. I'm happy to continue the conversation and really help with anything that I can. And if you do have any breastfeeding concerns, get in touch with your local group. I'll pop the links down in the comments as well for the places you can get that support, because that's all it is. It's like picking up a phone, or even just sending a text or a PM, and you will find that support. If you're pregnant at the moment, I'm wishing you all the best for a really positive birth experience and breastfeeding experience as well. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope some of what I've said has been useful. If it has, please put a purple heart down in the comments. I would so love that. And thanks for watching. Take care and have a good one.